Hang in
Dude,
there. It is.
that's Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show. And this one's going to be a little bit different from our usual shows. I watch Smylie. This is becoming like a theme now as we open the show and Smylie's got some sort of exotic beverage in his hand. What are we working with there?
What do you think it is?
That looks to me like a latte of some sort.
Mm-hmm. There must be a brisk chill in the air.
What is tell me a little bit more about this latte. Did you get this at the Marine Hotel?
I don't understand why they put a spoon in here. Do people
just elevated vibes?
Like, do people like having a spoon and drinking their lattes?
Well, maybe if they think if you're going to add a little something to it, you know,
that it's
some
a mixer.
Sugar, some cream, a little dollop of ice cream, things of that nature.
Wow, a little bit of ice cream in here. That could be something. It's 5:38 right now, by the way. So I'm sure there's people that get freaked out. It's like, dude, you're drinking. I mean, latte is not absurd by any means as far as the metrics for caffeine, but still, it's it kind of wigs some people out. Some people don't drink coffee past lunch, and they can't sleep. This won't be a problem for me. I could be in bed 2 hours after this.
I'm on the same boat, and I think that's probably says something about my levels of caffeine intake, which I really that's on my list of things I want to work on.
Or just your lifestyle.
Yeah, listen, we're parents of young children, so I think we get a little bit of a pass in the caffeine department. But I mean, this is really going to take us on a tangent, but I'm worried about my heart a little bit, Smylie. And so as a result of that, I'm back in the tennis game. Played tennis for the first time last night, ran around a little bit, was 15 minutes. And I thought my chest was going to explode.
Really?
Tough scene. Yeah. We really need to get back on the cardio.
We need to get Charlie on the old workout program, huh?
We do, because we moved with the Peloton. The Peloton was packed up. That was my main source of cardio. I have a love-hate relationship with the Peloton, so it's been a lot of hate recently.
Do you want to follow me on Peloton?
Oh yeah. Do you have a Peloton username?
Oh yeah. It's like my username I have for everything.
Oh, do you want to hear mine? You're going to love mine.
Yeah, give it to me.
Chaz Cycles. So there you go. It's one of my more creative like usernames that I've ever made in my entire life. But it was after watching Blades of Glory once. I was like, it'd be a good Peloton name, Chaz Cycles. And so there it is.
That's incredible. Are you a low impact guy every time?
Golly, I love that this is how I love we're tangenting now. This is fantastic. I am at risk of revealing a little bit too much about my Peloton persona. I'm committed to Olivia. Like, Olivia's my girl. Like, Olivia gets me right. She is like a little smiling assassin. That if you're gonna ride with Olivia, like, you're gonna sweat. It's gonna be worth the time you put in. So I do anything in the Olivia family, and then also from time to time I'll do Lane Break. Because I like the video game aspect, and they got some good tunes on there. But I'm just Lane Break and Olivia. That's all I do.
Okay, noted.
What's your game? You low impact
guy? Sometimes when I'm not feeling it, and then the competitive spirit in me takes over, and then it doesn't turn into low impact any longer. I like doing like 20, 30-minute rides in Tabata. And God, what would be the other one I do? Is it high intensity? That's HIIT. That's it.
Yeah, HIIT and Tabata are like same family, like cousins in a way, just structured a little bit differently.
Yeah. That's typically what I do. I don't think I've done a Peloton ride in probably a month or two, if that.
I'm north of that.
Probably got some cobwebs on it.
Mine literally, it's now it used to be in my office. It's now in the garage. It has literal cobwebs on it. So
is it a bad investment? Pelotons?
I mean, if we really want to go down that road, yeah, like there was that boom. There was the pandemic boom, which was huge for the company. And then they invested a ton of money in like tread and new instructors and this and that. And now they've kind of had this like turn of people who are no longer doing it. In fact, I think my monthly subscription is now dormant because I was using it so infrequently that I said, let's pause this and we'll get back to it when we're ready to kind of literally and figuratively.
I think we're there. Did we just talk about that?
We did. I think we're there, but I will say, dude, and this happens to me every year when Wimbledon's on. I'm like, you know what I should do is get back into tennis. And so I gave it a shot. I hit with my buddy last night, who's like actually good at tennis. He's going to string me up a little Babolat racket. My guy Carlitos Alcaraz. I'm gonna just stand lockstep with him and get out there and
wow.
So I'm gonna try to do 6 a.m. tennis twice a week.
May 20th. That's
the last ride. I don't even know that I have the app on my phone anymore.
You know what's bad is when I logged into the app, it didn't even recognize me. Like I had to. That's when you know you need to get with it, kid.
I'll do you one better. When I went to go click on my app, it had done that thing where I hadn't used it in so long that it was no longer loaded on my phone. It was like I have to reinstall this app.
Just a bunch of dad things going on.
Dad things, man. Dad things indeed. Well, I love that we started here because this actually sets a nice tone for what we're about to do for this episode because you are currently listening to this while Smylie is somewhere in Ireland, just golfing his ball, taking in all the sights and sounds, probably consuming all sorts of Irish beverages with good company. So I'm thrilled for you in that respect.
Yes.
And this is post open week. What we decided to do here, because we've been on sort of a Scottish golf theme for a while, we had the Scottish Open in North Berwick. We move, of course, to Royal Troon. It's in Ayrshire. I think I'm saying that right. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll take your word for that.
Sounds better than what you were saying.
Yeah. Ayrshire. Yeah, whatever. Royal Troon in Scotland. That's the main part. So we had a British Open in Scotland. And I, of course, on the front of all this was on my own little sort of Scotland golf trip. My first adventure over in Scotland, played 12 courses, played 13 rounds over 8 days with my dad. It was absolutely phenomenal. And so what we decided to do here is a little bit of a trip review, a little bit of a show and tell action. I've got some notes, I've got pictures, I've got videos. And for any of you out there that have a Scotland trip on your bucket list, maybe this is, sort of a helpful reference if you are, you're trying to figure out where you want to play. If you want to hear a first timer's perspective, there's a lot of people out there that have done this a million different times. This is like my first kind of dipping my toe in the pool. So does that all sound good to you, Smylie?
Yeah, no, basically we are doing a blog, except we're not typing it. We're going to talk about it, and I'm going to have plenty of questions throughout. I think that for any golfer that has fallen in love with the game and has not played golf in Scotland or better yet, in Ireland, that would be something you need to put on your bucket list, because I was thinking about this walking around this morning at Royal Troon, that there's not a whole lot of things I love more than links golf. I was thinking about a list of things that would be above it, and it's up there. Like, it's top 5. Links golf is top 5 of my favorite things in the world.
I could not agree more. And experiencing it for the first time for me was like the first day when we pulled up to we played a more modern course for our first course, Dundonald, but still the elements and the sort of course conditions remain similar, if not the same. And it was the delight in setting my bag down. And instead of doing my customary pulling out my 56 degree and hitting some short chip shots, pulled out a pitching wedge and a 7-iron. And I was going to warm up the bump and runs and seeing, how far I need to carry certain shots so I could land them and run them up onto greens. It's a delight in trying to shape different shots and do things differently in Scotland than you would ever do for the most part in the United States. That part of it is just, it's so much, and it's two things. It's what happens to the ball in the air with so much more wind and elements than we normally experience in the United States. And it's what happens to the ball on the ground with these sort of firm approaches and rolls and contours. It's truly, I'm sure at some point in time, if you play the game of golf, you played a course, you're like, wow, that's really unique and fun. It's that almost every single time you go out and play, which is just amazing.
Yeah, it's tremendous. The fact that, I think with mainly modern U.S. golf courses that I would say amateurs typically play, and pros as well. Just the game that we're accustomed to is if you're playing a residential area, you got a bunch of OB stakes. If you're playing in Florida or somewhere else near some water, you're trying not to hit it in the big lakes. But when we're talking about links golf, it's such a unique experience with the turf and the mounds and figuring a way to be okay with just some insane bad bounces that end up in some bad areas, but you can just see shots and play them and use the ground. And I think that's what makes it so fun versus what I was just referring to earlier, which is for the most part, American golf is the shots that you hit and see are shaped with the hole or shaped with the tree line. In links golf, you're just shaping it with the way the lay of the land goes and the way the wind is blowing, and that's just the beauty of it. And typically the greens aren't as fast; they're slower. God, it's the best. Top five.
It's the best. It's that red fescue that rolls at like an 8 or a 9. That's unlike anything that we put on for the most part in the United States. Because even of course running at that speeds in the United States, the surface would feel different. It would feel softer. It wouldn't feel as firm. It's a delight. I mean, it's something that, and kind of to your point on the land, it feels like land that's largely untouched, and in some places it's literally untouched. Mm-hmm. And so we'll get into that. So Smylie, look, I've got big old stack of yardage books, scorecards. I'm going to go through this thing chronologically for you.
Yeah, where are we starting? Because I want to follow along in the Google machine.
Well, here's the first place I'm going to start with. A big shout out to the places I got to stay, which one of them is right behind you, Marine Troon. We stayed at 3 marine hotels: Marine Troon, Marine North Berwick, and then Russex, also in that same family of hotels. And so Marine Troon.
Shout out to my boy Ben Welprin. He's part of that whole deal. So shout out to my boy.
Shout out to Ben. Shout out to everyone there. The service was top notch. It's funny you're holding up a latte there because I immerse myself in British culture. I did English breakfast tea every day. Just like, we're going to rock out tea on this trip. We're going to lean in. We're going to do, the local customs on this trip. So I did that. First place we stayed was where you are right now, Marine Troon, which this is literally, it couldn't have been a 200-yard walk from the hotel. This is the 18th at Royal Troon behind
right here.
me.
I see it right here. I see the 18th. And by the way, where you're standing, you are half inbounds, half out of bounds. Did you know that?
Yes.
I found that out today at a rules meeting. And you know what's going to be crazy about this is when you're listening to this next Wednesday is what if there's a big scuttlebutt about how this is an OB right here, and we find that out on like Sunday late afternoon with the group, and some dude catches a flyer, hits it out of bounds, and loses the golf tournament. We're going to be talking about it forever, but here we are. Half in, half out of bounds, Charlie Hulme here at the 18th. And if you're not watching, you need to go watch, because I think we might be previewing history right here. He just didn't know it.
We very well could be, because not knowing where the traditional Sunday pin placement is. I mean, if they put this thing in the back of the green, there's 5 yards to this dividing line, maybe 7 yards. I mean, it is a very fine margin. So
it's annoying, the fact that it's that close, right?
I thought it was cool. My one regret was I didn't fully walk around Royal Troon when I was there, as you asked me to do. The time we were playing so much golf that we just did not have time to do it. But also shout out to this Slazenger sweater that Dennis Paulson of Inside the Ropes gave to me. It just came in handy for these photos. So that is where we started. And I'm going to go through this for you chronologically. So the first place I played, Dundonald Links. So this is sort of a newer course.
Okay.
Dundonald Links is a newer course. It is designed by Kyle Phillips, the same architect who designed Kingsbarns. So he's got a track record over here. And let's see here. I'm looking what you.
Looks sweet, man. Oh, it's right here near Troon.
It's right near Troon. In fact, I think it was like an 11-minute drive from the Marine Troon. And to me, it's also, we're going to talk about Western Gailes. It is just on the other side of the ScotRail train track from Western Gailes. So it's not on the ocean. But for me, I think a lot of these courses get stick for, the modern ones get stick because they don't have the history or I think you got to evaluate it in a different category. And the thing that I loved about Dundonald was it was a modern course, but it had the linksy feel, but it still had like the modern infrastructure. So, and I'll show you a picture right here. We were there just days before they were hosting the Open final qualifying. So here's my dad and I on the first tee with the signage up for that, and it's like I think I saw videos of Sergio playing Dundonald just like days later to qualify for the Open, and so
it's Sergio played there. Okay,
to me, I felt like it helped that I played good, which will be a common theme here. I opened the trip with a 76, and I was like, oh man, like I might play good out here. That was not the case for most of the trip, but I thought it was a very kind of fair test, but had, burns and the rolls and the sort of the long grass and pop bunkers. And to me, I felt like it was I think it was a nice way to enter the trip as a sort of migration from playing American golf to playing Scottish golf. It's like, here's a little halfway point to kind of dip your toe in it, and then we're going to get you going.
The clubhouse looks nice too.
The infrastructure was fantastic, Smylie. Like really and truly, I think that's a part of it. Is like there's definitely a charm in some of these older courses, but for ones that are being built new, it's like you kind of got to match that with facilities. And like, I mean, we were in and out of there because we were playing Turnberry Ailsa in the afternoon, but I was like, can we hang around and hit the steam room and maybe like, hang out here for a little bit, get a bite to eat. So
it looks great.
My favorite hole I'll show you here was the 11th. It's their sort of rendition of the postage stamp.
Yep, I saw a picture of that. Yep.
Yeah, so you can kind of see the the sort of the bunkering in the front. It almost had a little bit of a Redan feel
that's
to it.
Not postage stamp. That's much more Redan looking to me, right?
Same, although it didn't have as much of the Redan front to back tilted green quality. It was more of like it was sort of a flatter green. I think basically the reason why they call it their sort of postage stamp is, I'll show you this right here in a second, is it's a very narrow green. And if you go long of this green,
it's super shallow. Okay,
it's super shallow. And let me show you what's on the other side of the
drop
screen.
Off.
Anytime you have stairs going into a pot bunker, that's a place you do not want to hit it.
And you see the rakes, how they have the big debate with rakes is should you leave your rake in or out of the bunker? Well, they've solved it here by having the hook on the end. It looks like a candy cane if you're not watching here on YouTube. And it's brilliant. This is how they all should be.
Ooh. Hey, Smylie, can you hear me?
Yep, just pick it up.
Okay, sorry. Yep. Yeah, you dropped for a little bit. All right, perfect. Yeah. There was a wonderful variety in rakes on this trip, which was kind of fun. There were some at like Panmure that had like this sort of heaviness to them, and there was almost like a roller on it, like 3 or 4 different rake styles over here. But yes, as you alluded to, the candy cane rakes here to kind of hook it on the edge of that pop bunker, I thought were fun. I loved that hole, the 11th. I also loved the 13th. They called it the unlucky 13th. Which is like a 430-yard par 4 from the tips. And there is a good story that they were telling us about. I don't know which Pro-Am it was. Maybe it was the Dunhill, but whatever Pro-Am it was, JP McManus playing with Rory McIlroy.
Okay.
So the way this green sets up is there's a kind of slope in the front and a burn in the front. And so you got to really carry it all the way up there because it could roll off. There's a pop bunker on the right side and a pop bunker in the back. And then there's like a severe sort of runoff on the back right side of the green. So you really got to be precise with this approach shot. So Rory's over the ball. He wants to hit a sand wedge. JP's adamant that he should hit a gap wedge. Hits it into the back bunker. Makes 6. Loses the tournament. Rory reportedly very unhappy on the back end. So that was kind of – and it seemed like a short little – simple enough hole, but I thought there were so many holes like that in Scotland that were just, they had teeth to them, even though they were short. So Dundonald, really loved it. Cool trip starter. And one, if you're over there and you're trying to kind of do a mix of old and new, big fan of Dundonald. Great place to get going. So that's Dundonald.
It seems like a really cool spot. And then throw in, you didn't get the opportunity to play Royal Troon, but Royal Troon is a private club. I think it's an expensive club to play. I think it costs probably $500 or 500 pounds. I think it's pounds here to play this course, but you're able to kind of play a pretty good mix of courses if you throw in Dundonald, Royal Troon, and then Western Gailes is another, and then Turnberry. So it's a really good area that we're in.
It's a fantastic area. I mean, you kind of got to do the trip in pockets. The big regret being a Donald Ross guy is not getting all the way up north to play Royal Dornoch. Mm-hmm. You could. I was actually talking to TC of No Laying Up about this throughout the trip as we were exchanging messages about some pictures, and he was saying, "Don't force it. Like, just do what you can do on a trip. Don't try to jam it all in. You're going to come back and you'll pick a different place and you'll be able to spend time there." So we did force a lot in, but I think it's a nice reminder of pick a spot and really immerse yourself in that spot. There will be other Scotland trips in the future if you really love the place, which I certainly do. So
I'd like to try to find a way, because it's overwhelming when you look at how much good golf there is, like you're talking about. And that's some good advice from TC. TC does not strike me as the level-headed guy when it comes to advice like this. So I love that he's speaking the truth in love when it comes to the addiction of checking off the list of golf courses of places you want to play in Scotland.
That man is passionate about so many things, it seems. I don't know him well, but it's funny that we've exchanged notes. He shot me a few notes when I played Sandhills. That guy's a passion for good golf courses and good architecture. So it's always fun to play a course and then hear him sort of chime in. You're like, oh, good, I got the TC cosign on this course. I'm glad I got
TC is the, if you will, he's like the PFT in golf. Just a
yes.
He's not afraid to put a take out there, and whether you like it or don't like it, which in the past, him and I butted heads because of he was pretty brutal to me when I was playing like crap. But when you got a bit, and you got to stick to it. So respect the game.
So that's Dundonald. Then played Turnberry Ailsa in the afternoon, and golly, man, here's the best way. And I also started giving shout outs to the caddies along the way. So Derek was on the bag. Derek had to watch me make a mess of this place. To me, this place reminded me in terms of feel when you're playing it to Pine Valley. And let me describe why.
And this is where, sorry.
This is Turnberry Ailsa.
Oh,
so duel in the sun.
Wait, so Turnberry, what are you calling it? Turnberry what?
Ailsa.
Is that different from another? Is Turnberry Trump? 1, 2.
That's correct. So it's Trump Turnberry is the whole resort, and then there's Turnberry Ailsa, and then the second course I think is called King Robert the Bruce. I think it used to be called Kintyre.
Is Ailsa the main?
Ailsa's the main that's hosted numerous Open Championships, Duel in the Sun, Stuart Sink and Tom Watson in 2009. It was in all these places. You go to these places.
Incredible.
It is gorgeous. I'll share this photo I have up with you right now.
The ninth hole is their version of Cypress, right?
There you go. Ninth hole right in front of you.
Oh my gosh, is the wind off the left.
That was So this was a wind off the left day, Smylie. I hit so many space balls. I was aiming off this tee almost left of the lighthouse and still ended up right of the green. It was just
the last Open they had there was 06. Is that right?
09. That was the Stuart Sink, Tom Watson.
So tell me, is it a shame that they'll never go back? Is it's the Trump thing? Is that why?
It is the Trump thing, and here is. Let me just be very clear.
It's a shame, right? Because it looks amazing.
Let me be very clear about this. There's no political assignment to this. In fact, I am the furthest you'll find from someone who is politically inclined. I just want to enjoy good golf, talk about good golf, play good golf. For all of the grief that Trump catches, I'll say pros and cons here. Cons are, I think this place, the the sort of infrastructure around it has grown a little too ornate for a course that has such a rich and deep open championship history, right? Like it's a little bit too fancy compared to some of the nicer or the other history steeped clubs you go to and you see the cool clubhouses. And Prestwick is such a great example of just you walk and you're like, wow, this feels like history. Now the pros.
Muirfield, probably the same way.
Well, Muirfield's probably the same way. What Trump has done with this course, you know, and whether it's him or an extension of who he's got working for him, is so brilliant in terms of taking it back. They got a bunch of 1950s era aerial photos and took it back to that sort of version of the course. And it's brilliant. I mean, it's where they've moved greens out for some of these sort of scenic positions, you know, over the water, away from like a lot of the greens were pulled further back. And now they're in these more dramatic locations. It's a brilliantly designed and routed golf course, and I think that sometimes it gets lost in the ownership whose name's on it. You know, and to me, I don't think that's fair. It's like I'm just trying to evaluate a golf course on its merits, and I'd say yes, it is a shame the Open's not come back. Now, part of that might be, you know, travel and its location, and how do you get there, and what's the infrastructure and all that sort of stuff. It is a little bit out of the way, but I'd say in terms of just a sheer evaluating a golf course in a vacuum, this place is unbelievable. And so I'd say too,
it looks unbelievable. Just so, the big rock out there.
Oh my goodness. And so here, I'm going to show you here's looking back at, this is the 15th.
Where does this rank for you for the trip?
It is. So it's interesting. It's like, and this routinely appears in the top 10 in the world in courses. A lot of times top 5. This is the 15th tee. So you're looking back into the clubhouse. You're seeing the sort of the vastness of the property. The ocean is to your right. You know, this is what I say here is like, why compare it to Pine Valley is it's one of those courses that, you know, there's so much history there. There's so much, in the way it's a brilliant course, but you're kind of smiling through gritted teeth because it's just beating the crap out of you, especially the wind we were playing it in. And I think it's a brilliant course in the vacuum. It wasn't one of my favorites simply because I just found it immensely challenging and like it'd be hard to play there every single day because you'd just be like, really, again, another like mid to high 80s score. Like, I've had enough of this.
Where do you think I would have ranked it?
I think you would have found this to be one of your favorites on the trip, if not the top. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, on a list that includes, so the full list, I'll just kind of lay out now: Dundonald, Turnberry Ailsa, Western Gailes, Prestwick, North Berwick, Carnoustie, Panmure, St Andrews Jubilee, Crail, Balcomie, Dumbarnie, St Andrews Old Coast, and Kingsbarns. Like, if it was you, I bet the ones you would have liked the most.
You played so much golf. Oh my god! I was like, when's he gonna stop?
I think you would have liked Turnberry, Carnoustie, Old Course, and Kingsbarns. I think those would have been your favorites.
North Berwick's it's in my top 5 of, yeah.
We'll get to North Berwick.
Yeah.
North Berwick, maybe my favorite place in the entire golf world.
All right. So the question I have about, actually not a question, something that I was talking to Scottie, Scheffler, and Sam Burns about today. They were talking about mulligans, and then somehow it sparked a conversation in that Travis Perkins, Sam Burns' caddy, Ted Scott, and Scottie and Sam played at Turnberry, I guess maybe earlier this week.
Just last week. Yeah.
Right. And they played like a partner every 6 holes. So you flip a tee for it. And it just so happened it was pros versus Joes on the last 6 holes. And I guess they were saying, based on the shots, that they were giving their caddies crap for having too many shots, and they were carrying them somewhat in the first 12 holes. And then the last 6 holes that Sam and Scottie won 3 of the first 6 holes, and they were giving them for it. And on the 5th hole, or actually the 4th and the 5th hole, so it would have been 15 and 16, Ted and Travis both had these incredibly bad whip outs that ended up losing the match. And Scottie's like very, I would say his personality is like, he's kind of goofy, loves like office comedy. And he was just smiling ear to ear, talking about taking Ted Scott's money. Just like that gives him so much excitement getting caddy money.
I love that so much. I love that they were out there, because I think for those guys, it's got to be a little bit of, I mean, I guess you think of a professional player and they're playing so much golf already. And I think I heard JT say this at one time. It's like, buddy, we don't have a ton of chances to play other golf courses because we're so busy playing the ones we got to play for our tour events. And so it thrilled me that they got to go to a place where hopefully the Open will come back at some point in time down the road. And I think that, you know, getting to see a place like that is super cool, and especially fun that you got a guy that's as competitive as Scottie that, you know, was out there just delighting and taking Ted's money. I'll show you here on that topic. This is that famous plate, the Tom Watson duel in the sun, the 7-iron from 178 yards to 2 feet to win that 1977 Open. So, I mean, cool history out there, and yeah, let's hope it makes it back, because that was a really, really cool one. So that is Turnberry Ailsa for you. Now we flip over to Western Gailes. This place, I'll tell you what, dude, Western Gailes, and it's spelled, as you're looking it up, Gailes. So
there was an agent walking out with his clubs right now because it was hilarious. It's like, dude, you gonna go play at Troon right now? I was like, no, I'm heading to Western Gailes. It's like the guy that showed up to Augusta National for the practice round with his golf clubs. That's what this agent just looked like right now, heading out. He was going to play Western Gailes.
This place is, I feel like for so long this was considered a hidden gem, but it's really just not so hidden anymore. And as I kind of tell you about it, I'm going to share this. Like, my dad took this sort of 360-degree view video of me on one of the tees, where you can kind of just get a feel for the lay of the land. This to me looks
linksy.
So linksy, and one of the places where the least amount of land was moved, right? Like you really get the sense when you're out there that this is exactly the way the land was before they put a golf course here, and they put it in, and it fit perfectly. And it's got this really cool routing where it's almost like, I'd call it like a racetrack routing, because it's you go first four holes are kind of on the inside going out, and then you loop back around, and you're playing like 5 through, I want to say like 12 or 13 that are going back right along the ocean side. And then you flip back again and play like whatever it is, 13 or 14, 18 home on the interior, right back up to the clubhouse. And so it was funny because this is a day where first 4 holes, left to right wind, shooting a million. Like, why am I ruining my chances of having a good time out here in a place I was looking forward to? Then flip around, I'm like, I'm the best player in the world. Like, I like, sign me up for mini tour events. You know, I forget which hole it was. I hit in the caddy's like, God, that's the longest drive I've ever seen here. I was like, huh, how about it? And then you flip right back around, and then you remember, oh, wait a second, this is why I'm not.
It's an out and a back course. Yeah, I see that.
Yes,
that's true, Links, man. This is the type of golf course that I love to play. I wouldn't want to play it every day, but it's the type of links golf that I love because, oh, look at you. You're chipping lefty. I love this.
This was the Colmore. I saw Colmore Okawa do this at the Renaissance, and I only shared the second shot of this. You'll see the first shot didn't go so well. This is the first hole. Hit it right above the pot bunker. Whoop, not so good there.
Man. Oh, that's what
Player
we didn't
2, though.
see.
Player 2, pretty good.
It's a shame you didn't share everything with that, because I think that makes it better.
Well, I was saying,
but listen, I'm not a producer here. You're the producer, so what do I know, right?
I'd say that I think you're.
Oh, man, what a beautiful pick I'm looking at here.
It's and here's another cool thing for those who are football/soccer fans out there. So I got a guy in my bag. His name's Steve Murray. We start talking, like, hey, what's your background? I'm telling him, hey, my wife played soccer in college. She said, oh, I played football growing up. Who'd you play for? I played professionally. Played for Celtic and Nottingham Forest. And if you know it, like, he played for Brian Clough at Forest when they were coming off winning. I guess it's the oh my gosh, why am I? It's called the Champions League now, but I think it was called just the European Cup at that point in time. Like, he played on some of the greatest teams in Nottingham Forest history. And this guy's just on the bag, just shooting the breeze with you out at Western Gailes, telling these amazing Brian Clough stories. That to me was the other part of this trip, is there were so many times where you got a caddy that was just the best hang. And you almost
that's part of the experience, though.
It's totally, and you're trying to take in the course. You're like, I want to remember all these holes. And you get to the end of the round, and you're like, you sit down and have a pint and you're like trying to think about it, but you're like, what I'm remembering is just hanging out with my buddy Steve who's telling me Brian Clough stories. And like, that's amazing too. So I loved it. I thought it was.
What's the best caddy name of the entire trip? There has to be one that's like Iggy or something like that.
Last round of the trip, which we'll get to, was an amazing crescendo at Kingsbarns. Struan. 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 And you could tell he'd done this a million times because they have the bibs with the names on the back. So he comes up, shakes your hand. Hi, I'm Struan. And I'm like, and he just turns around without saying a word and just points at the back of his thing. And I was like, oh, Struan. He's like, you might have done that a few times before, haven't you?
Like the Struble.
So that was, Western Gailes it's my brother's favorite course. So many delightful holes. And I just think just the natural element of it was amazing. I'll share one more photo with you here of the locker room.
It was just you and your dad, right? Your brother
just
didn't go on this, right? Were they pissed that they didn't get the invite or what?
I was supposed to go on a trip in high school with my brother and my dad to Scotland, and I was more concerned with travel baseball at that point in time. So,
okay.
So this was like the sort of the makeup for that. But this is, how
good is that locker room?
Look at the light coming into the locker room and just I love a locker room that is not too over the top, but that has like that classic feel. And I stepped into this one and I was like, man, special place. And there's a locker where they have all like pros that have come in and played who signed the locker. And Tom Watson had just been out there. They said Tom Watson was unbelievable as a putter, like just was talking to the caddies, getting input, but he knew every contour out there, was incredibly respectful. They just loved him there. So just really, really cool stuff. So that is Western Gailes. So now we flip over to Prestwick. And Prestwick, let me tell you, man, this one delighted me. Like it's the original Open Championship venue.
Yep.
It is, and I've got a picture here. This was my homage to Aaron Ride Day. For about the first 30 minutes we were out there getting ready. This was me, double ghost rain hat. And if you zoom in here on this plaque, you can see it's a plaque that's commemorating the first Open Championship ever played at Prestwick. They've since changed the routing, but there's like one original hole though, right? There's an original hole that is it's like crisscrosses multiple holes. What it is now is like they eventually reformatted. It was a 12-hole routing, and they added 6 new holes.
Yep.
And you very much can tell the difference between the 12 ones that are more original and the 6 newer ones. It's like it's like almost midway through the front 9, you're like, this course has changed a little bit, and then you get back on the back and you're like, oh, here we go. This is what I was experiencing to start this round. Like to me, and this is such a bad comp, but you know how much I love Tobacco Road. And it's like if Tobacco Road was built like hundreds and hundreds of years ago with all the quirks and the fun, it would be Prestwick. And that's not a slight to Prestwick in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a feel for it. This is like unusual compared to the ones you've just like there was a clear identity in the other ones that you've sent.
This is first tee. You're literally next to a railway. there's a road.
I'm looking at it right here, and it's a super flat fairway. Just looks like SK would be hitting 3 on his second shot on the tee box.
It is tight. It's very tight. You're hitting a lot of irons. You're hitting a lot. Like there was a par 5, the first par 5 Cardinal, the 3rd hole. It is the most bizarre stretch of shots where you're just like. Just trust your caddy because he's like, just hit it there. And you're like, really? He's like, yeah, this is about how far you want to hit it. And then the next shot, same thing. And then all of a sudden you're up next to the green and you got a little pitch in for, or you're close to the green up for a par 5. And it's just the whole thing was so much fun. I had a caddy chick who was hilarious, who actually recently carried for some of the foreplay guys. I think Frankie and Riggs were over there. Maybe it was Frankie and Trent. He was on there and just was hilarious jokes all day long.
Great.
Yeah, that place was special. The 17th hole, Alps, it's like 394-yard par 4, where you hit this first shot kind of down this valley, and then you have a completely blind wedge. You have to hit over a big hill and down to a green.
This one seems, of the ones you've shown me, like the quirkiest.
Without a doubt, the quirkiest. And to me, you come to Scotland for some of that quirk. And this
quirk,
is right.
Is the quirk turning you on a little bit, Charlie?
Quirk gets me going a little bit. Gets me a little hot and bothered. I mean, I think, we can recap it at the end. Like, I mean, I think Prestwick, North Berwick, like I loved Western Gailes a lot, but I'd say like Prestwick, North Berwick, and we'll get to Crail, Balcomie were like my three just like, I don't know any other golf courses in the world that are like this. And for that reason, I would come back and play it all the time.
Noted.
Also got to look, as you know, well-documented merch guy. Got to give a shout out to the MVP of the trip, which was obtained in the Prestwick shop. This Prestwick Grayson windbreaker, absolute MVP. You're going to start seeing this pop up in every other course because I think I wore it every day after this. It was just lightweight windbreaker. Just a great play, simple little logo.
I'm not convinced you're showing us this because you feel like your finish makes you look like a pro here.
Well, I mean, if you look at the footwork there, dude, do you know anyone else who has footwork like that? I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know Cameron Young was out there playing Prestwick.
We had a couple very nice people who I may or may not have paid in my mentions saying, "Hey, that looks a lot like Cameron Young." I'm like, I'll take it. So. That's Prestwick. Then we move to what you and I think share is like, I mean, this place is just amazing. North Berwick, West Links.
Don't need to Google North Berwick. I got that one on the list.
You know that one. So
We've talked about that one, and everybody knows our feelings of this. I think if I can take a bit of the lead on this one as I set this up for you, North Berwick is if you've never heard of it, first off, go do a little bit of research about this place because many of the template holes that you see that architects across not only the country but the world use the designs and the templates of these holes. And it's just fascinating to me because North Berwick was built in what year? Can you live produce this?
1832.
1832. And I think that's the insane part about it to me is how they can look at this piece of land in 1832 and be able to have just the mind to create something so special like this that would be usable in 2024. I think that to me is why North Berwick is such a unique experience because you have, especially when you turn the corner after, I believe that 9th hole, and then you go on that back 9, you got the hole on 13 with the stone that runs up right of it, the pit, right? Thank you. And then you run into the famous Redan hole, followed by the Barrettes, then the Punch Bowl. And you just have the amazing finish as like similar to St. Andrews as you go out and you come back in and you just keep on coming closer and closer to the town of North Berwick. That is what makes that experience so cool. Because it has that St. Andrews vibe, but you have the history of, man, you're on a golf course that is on this incredible piece of land and just has this unique charm that you feel like you're playing in something that is like a little slice of heaven of a golf course that is just, it's just fascinating to me.
I think that is so perfectly said. I think the comparison to St. Andrews is absolutely one that came to mind for me because it is all of those things you mentioned. It's the course itself that's this amazingly fun figure 8 routing where you're starting out and then you're winding in and then you're kind of coming, you're going back out and then you're looping back around in and then making your way home. It's the people there. And by the way, I got to give huge shout out and thanks to Stuart, Paul, Martin, and Caddie, who could not have been more hospitable at North Berwick. Like just, got us set up for an extra round the night before when we got in after Prestwick, played the next day. My caddy Gordon was unbelievably good. Even like there were 2 members, this guy Jake and David, who the first night called us up to the tee at 15 in Redan. We played 15 and 16 with them, and then we had to hop in for dinner. I mean, everything about this place, the way that the club and the town mesh where you have people walking their dogs or riding their bikes through. We're out there the first night, and this guy's whole family came out to meet him on the tee and walk with them through the course. There's a little kids course, a little kind of short. They call it the Wee Links, where you might have seen Victor Hovland out there doing a deal with FedEx and some junior golfers there recently. It is the town itself. The whole thing is just, it's the feeling I want to feel when I'm around the game of golf. And they have just, organically nailed that to such a T. I would put 13 through 16 up against any 4 holes in the world.
Yeah,
Pitt,
100%.
Perfection, Redan, Gate, just a delight to play. Gate's that last spirits. This is, so just a couple I'll share with you briefly, because you covered a lot of North Berwick and why we love it so much. So here's Pitt. You can see that sort of stone wall in the background. You have to hit an approach shot over that into Pitt. I so badly wanted this birdie putt to drop, and it was like tracking, and then at the last minute just dives to the right, unfortunately. But like this green, this little slender green behind this stone wall is just.
I shouldn't have said a word. You see that house in the background? That was our rental house.
Was it really?
I would come out after the Scottish Open, and when I was there last year, and go play. I would play that loop. It was like 6 through 13. Oh, fantastic.
This is my dad at perfection. This is the next hole. It's a 14th. It's basically you hit this kind of like iron off the tee, and then you have this blind approach shot down to a green sitting right on the edge of the water. Caddies kind of tells you like hit it out right.
That's right. Yes. That hole was wild.
So good.
I tried to go for it. Shocking.
Did you really?
Yes.
I love that. I love that play.
That's a great name for that hole, because if you're going to go for it, you need to be pretty much damn perfect.
Perfection. And then here's the next hole. Here's the famous Redan, as you mentioned. This is
can't see the green.
This is the temple hole. You can kind of see the bunkering up there on the right side, where it's that tilted, front to back green. And basically, how you play a Redan is right. You hit it to the right side of the green. It should, if you land at the correct distance and cover the bunkers, it should kick and run back to the pin. And it's a really hard shot to pull off, and quite rewarding when you do it well.
It is, because everything runs away. And it was fun watching Jordan and JT play the shots there, because they get kind of golf nerd out and want to try to play all the fun shots and use the slopes. And JT was playing like a hook 5-iron and trying to fly that bunker, and like almost play like a chippy little draw, hit it like 140 yards and have it chase up that hill, because it was downwind and they couldn't stop it on the green if they were going to go right at it. So they were like, all right, can we kind of like chip hook something in there and run it up? So it was fun to watch him like try to play that shot.
I love it's just there's this course calls for so much creativity, and it's the joy in playing golf. Again, like Links, of course, but also this course specifically. And I just got to close for North Berwick with a shout out to my dad for the greatest birdie I think I've ever seen in my life. So this is 16. This is Gate. It's a par 4. There's like a little kind of a burn or a little rock wall that separates it, and then it's a Biarritz green. So which you'll see here in a second. But basically,
how do you say it? Is it not Biarritz?
They were saying Biarritz over there. I mean, Biarritz. Look, you know what we're talking about. Google it. Yeah. And it's that big front of the green, and then a dip in the middle, and that elevated back of the green, right? Mm-hmm. So the pin's back here. He crushed like a 310-yard drive to get to here. He's got a little like 60-yard lob wedge in here. He nipped this thing. You're going to see him reacting into the shot, thinking that he's hit it off the back of the green. Nips this thing up there, stops it on the back of the green, has like 25 feet for birdie, and jars the birdie putt. The caddies were in
you love to hear it.
Disbelief. Like how in that, like you so rarely see people make birdie at this hole, let alone with that back pin
especially
placement.
The back pin.
And so that was
look at him.
That was my highlight of the trip, is seeing my dad make birdie at Gate. The 16th hole at North Berwick. So phenomenal place.
I think what's the takeaway here? So North Berwick, obviously Charlie and I both love it, but I think the lesson that you can take away from this is when planning a trip, whether it be Scotland, whether it be Ireland, whether it be anywhere, you have to start with your number one golf course. And if you're going to circle a course, start with North Berwick, and plan your way around the trip with that. Because I think it's very overwhelming when you want to play North Berwick, and then let's drive 4 overs across and let's go play this one. Like there's so many good courses around a lot of these famous courses that one's fine and you can just play the area and be totally, you can be totally satisfied with how good the golf is in that certain area. So like, for instance, if you're going to go to North Berwick, play there, then you can go play Cullen. If you can get on Muirfield, great. But there's plenty of other great golf courses right around there that
Archer Field, I think.
Yeah,
obviously the Renaissance where they hold the Scottish Open.
So that's kind of that's my advice right now.
I'd say if I'll come back, I'm going to say when I come back, because I will. This is the trip I want to do: is go set up shop at the Marine North Berwick. And bring the family here. Let's just speaking out there to all the people with young families, with wives. Go here. Go to North Berwick. Stay here.
It's a great town. Like,
don't play 36 every day. Play 18 a day. Go into town. Do stuff with the family. You can schedule some night trips into Edinburgh. Do some stuff in the city. Go out to dinner. It's less than a half hour away to go to Edinburgh. That's where Muirfield's based. If you have friends in high places, like what do you?
Dude. Life is not that easy. Like when you got young kids, or you're going out to Edinburgh with the kids. What are we talking about, Charlie? Like these, you're too far into the clouds. I got to bring you back because you're talking nonsense right now. You can't take the kids to Edinburgh from.
If you take the extended family, you do some trade-off nights for babysitting. Maybe the kids are old to play
you're
golf.
Talking. If you're just taking the wife, fine. But I don't see how the young kids can go and do this. And
they can play the Wee Links in North Berwick.
Oh, totally. I
you know what I'm saying?
You lost me with going into the town in Edinburgh and getting drunk. Like what? Where are we? We just transitioned too hard there.
And you know where else? By the way, before we get off the topic, the place you put me on last year, Musselburgh.
Oh yeah,
I can't believe we didn't play Musselburgh with Hickories. Like that's near Edinburgh as well. So there's if you pick a home base, if like this is your home base, North Berwick. You could do a lot of great stuff there. Yes. And that's, I'd say, okay, maybe Smiley's right. Maybe you need to bring an extra set of hands if you want to do some nights out in Edinburgh. Probably fair. I'm being ambitious here. I'm dreaming. I'm shooting for the stars. I'm saying if you want to try to pull off a family golf trip to Scotland and you're bringing everyone with you, try North Berwick. I think you can find some good things for everybody.
It's a quaint town. It really is. These hotels, and even if you do Airbnbs, whatever, are all great. So.
Okay, the Scotland vlog continues. Had a brief little laptop charger break. International outlets. Those are still mystifying. But we are back and we are kind of moving into the next portion of this trip. I think we actually segmented this nicely because we are headed to the stretch of the trip that beat me up pretty good, Smiley. I won't lie. The scores, you can go look at my Jen if you want to, or I can just share them with you. But it got rough in there a little bit, and that started with the most fitting location, which was Carnoustie. Carnoustie is, if you are a fan, or follow the Premier League at all, English football / soccer, there is a sort of a running meme or joke of, you talk about a skilled player, Messi's so great, this and that. It's like, yeah, but can he do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke? That to me is Carnoustie. It's like playing this away game in a hostile environment. We went in there. It was a dreary day. It was drizzling rain. Those beautiful ScotRail trains that were blue and white that we'd seen running along Dundonald and Western Gailes. You got out to Carnoustie and the paint was wearing off, and just the whole atmosphere was kind of like, all right, like I want to go in here, but I'm going to get booed and spit on, but I just got to grind and get a result. And I'll be honest, like, that gave me so much juice. Like I just the whole thing of like, it's the most demanding test in golf and the most demanding open. Like I love that change of pace. Just a grindy test on every single shot. I made the cardinal sin, Smiley, of opening par birdie and thinking that I was going to like light it up at Carnoustie. And then I hit my tee shot on 3. And let me show you where my tee shot on 3 ended up.
Oh my gosh.
And that set the tone for the rest of the day.
Could you get that out?
I hacked it. I think I might have ended up taking it unplayable. I think I hacked it once and it moved a little bit, like up to where it was like, moved a couple feet, but it was sitting up a little bit. And then the second one, I just chipped. Like I wasn't trying to advance it to the green from there at all. I was literally trying to chip it out, but it was like a hack to get it to a playable position, and then like a chip to get it to where then I could hit a shot into the green from there. Yeah, it was, and I'd say that it was, I mean, again, like I found that aspect of it to be, fun in its own way. Like you definitely could not go out and play Carnoustie every single day. That would kill your desire to play golf or do anything fun. But as a sort of change of pace, it was fun. It was just like, all right, like I know what I'm signing up for. Let's go out there and try to kind of get the best of this place that's ultimately going to beat you up. And I like that. I thought that was cool.
It looks like a golf course. The way would it be considered a burn that kind of runs across?
A lot of burns.
I feel like that seems to be the characteristic of this place. I get confused sometimes with all these golf courses. They all, it used to be just like whenever they pop up at an Open Championship, I remember it just for that week, and then 8 years later, you're like, I don't really remember anything until it gets on TV. And I'm trying to find which hole. I know that 18th one is the famous Van de Velde hole, so that that the burn kind of weaves its way in and out. But who was the last winner to win at Carnoustie?
Oh, that's a great question. Let me actually look that up, because
my guess right now is.
Oh, interesting. Okay, it's very recent.
Yeah, I know it is, because I remember
there have been two since Van de Velde. Care to guess who won each of those?
I'm going to go with Tom Watson.
No.
Okay.
There are two Europeans who have been in and around that Ryder Cup team. You can almost call them both stalwarts.
Give me Padraig Harrington.
Bang. Padraig Harrington, 2007. And then
that was 2007.
And then 2018. Who do you have winning in 2018?
2018. Why do I not? Why does this not come to mind? Was this the year that Adam Scott was about to win? Was that in 18?
You know what? I'd have to go back and look at that leaderboard. I can look it up. But
who won in 18?
Francesco Molinari.
I'm interested to see if that was the same.
Let me pull that leaderboard,
because somebody beat Adam down the stretch, and I don't know if it was this week.
So Adam finished T17 that week at 2 let's see here. He finished at 2 under for the tournament. Francesco won at 8 under. How about this for a list of T2s that week? This is actually wild looking back at this leaderboard. So Tiger finished, he was T6 at 5 under. All right. Your T2s at 6 under were Xander Schauffele, who shot 3 over on Sunday. Which, if he shoots around even par, he wins the tournament. Justin Rose, Rory McIlroy, and Kevin Kisner, who also shot 3 over on Sunday. So he was right in there, in and around it. The picture I'm displaying now is, of course, that iconic burn on the 18th. And you can kind of see, if you zoom in there, I'll try to here, they have Van de Velde's name etched in that sort of stone there. John Van de Velde, 1999, which was, obviously worth taking a picture. Also on the topic of burns, I just put it up there a second ago, but I'll put it back up there again. Nice little in-house beer, Berry Burn. I was drinking Tennent's all week long, which is a fantastic beer, by the way. I need to try to track that down. But Carnoustie had their own in-house beer, and this was their sort of lager, Berry Burn. And I believe that's the Berry Burn right behind it, right there, that I'm drinking in front of. So
it was Royal Witham, by the way, for Adam Scott, and that was in 2012. So 2018, I don't know what I was thinking. That's not even close as far as being within the range of a similar time frame of when I thought Adams.
This is here. I got you here. This is the 16th, that long par 3 that Tom Watson always had trouble with. Kind of gives you a vibe for the course of that sort of that long grass everywhere. That's that sort of amber color. A lot of that, you can kind of see.
That's a good
feeling. So much of that everywhere. You look out and it's like this amber and green contrast, and you're like, there's too much of that amber.
That went left.
That actually, that did go left. That did. Here's how you know. Here's how you know.
Oh, trust me.
When I do that high finish where I hold the hands up, that's me trying to save from going left. When my hands are lower, that means I've pushed it right. I've started to kind of figure out where these shots are going based on just finish position. Yeah, that was me saying, "Oh, stop going left, stay right." Yes, but that was. I mean, I don't mean to keep it too brief on Carnoustie, other than to say it's one of those places where if you're going to Scotland for the first time and you're in the area, you absolutely have to play it, because it's just like there are so many, other places that are kind of off the beaten path you can play and that you'll probably enjoy more. But just the history that's there and being able to say you played it and kind of did the test, that's why I thought Carnoustie was a cool course. But it will beat you up. Right quickly.
Now, I have actually played Turnberry and Carnoustie. Played them both on Tiger Woods 2000.
Yes, that's
great tracks.
Great video game. In fact, I got to see if they're on Tiger Woods 04 because I need to fire that.
Is 04 the one I'm thinking of? Not 2000.
04 was the iconic one with the DMX, intro, and
gotcha.
I mean that was just iconic. Yeah,
I
got to fire that.
My second favorite one was. I mean, it's hard not to put the one when Augusta got into the game, but true. When you could do the range like practice, if you remember, there was one of them had the range feature, which you could play games on that.
That was 04.
That was it wasn't. No.
04 had like the warehouse where you're hitting at targets. Are you talking about a different game?
Maybe
04 has like all the graphics like the one
way
in the
better
jungle.
than the 04 one. No, it was in our generation, or at least our decade of in the teens, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it could be an ongoing feature, but yeah, Tiger 04 is great. Although I think for most people, if they bought the deluxe version, they're already playing EA Sports College Football. I mean, definitely by the time you're listening to this, I'm playing EA Sports College Football. There's a likelihood I'm doing that right now as you're listening to this, leading North Carolina to a national championship dynasty out on the recruiting trail. So there's going to be a lot of time set aside for that. That's neither here nor there. That's Carnoustie for you. Then we flipped over to Panmure in the afternoon. Panmure,
how do you spell it?
Let me tell you, Panmure. So once again, okay. So Paul at North Berwick reached out to his friend David at Panmure, let him know we were coming, and we got the best welcome from Andrew and Reese over there at Panmure. This place was like, if you're like Charlie, you're super anxious, you're super stressed right now. Like, just take me out to Panmure, put me on the 14th tee, and just let me just spin around in 360-degree circles. And I promise you I'll walk off that course 30 minutes later without a care in the world. Just a giant anti-anxiety
this
meditative
character.
Playground. So this is a really cool thing about this is that when Ben Hogan won the Open at Carnoustie, this is where he went to practice. Go over to Panmure, just hang out there. I love so this starts where Reese kind of took us into this little club room area at Panmure with all these cool, memorabilia. It kind of in this back corner over here underneath the chandelier that I'm circling. They have these silver clubs that every captain of the men's team adds another golf ball to, and the golf ball is authentic to the era. So the dimples change on it, all this cool stuff in there, and then they give you this like token here for Kumel. Like it's like this drink that they distill on site. It says, it's affectionately known as putting juice. So I've got a picture here of my dad pre-round with a little glass of Kumel in his hand that we had to kind of get us going for the round. They could not have been more hospitable there as well. The whole vibe there was amazing. We even had a pint on the back end in Panmure. But I'd say, I got to show you some of these pictures. Here's a picture from the 14th tee. That is just, and it's just mind blowing how beautiful this place is. Like, this is a high ground. You're just and the whole terrain looks like this, where all these grasses blowing. Definitely a tough test. And for some stupid reason, I decided to tip it out at this place. Like, didn't do it anywhere else. I'm like, yeah, let's give it a go. Not great, but like
the tips are 6,500. Yeah,
like it shouldn't feel long, but it definitely punched you in the gut. So I thought,
wow,
this
sweet though
is, and then the 12th hole, as you kind of lead up to, I got this great picture here that I'll show you here too. This like burn that sort of meanders across the hole with the green kind of tucked up there on the sort of inside those trees there.
Oh, look at that. I love that. Wait, is the green right on that in the peninsula?
The green's like, if you can see my mouse, it's up. It's kind of up here.
Is that a par 3?
No, this is a par 4. So this is like
hit your drive. What is this burn doing then? Well, I'm confused.
This is like so you're actually landing your approach shot kind of short of this and to the left of this. And so this would be to catch anyone who's trying to like aggressively push it up. I don't even think you could reach this depending on where you're teeing from. But if you wanted to, this would kind of ward you off from trying to hit it up close there. I mean, if this grass didn't do that already.
It's such a cool burn that it kind of, I'm not saying that they should have put a green right there, but that would be kind of dope right there in that little pocket.
Right here to kind of surround it.
Yeah. That's
sweet.
What do I know? What do I know?
No. It's actually interesting that you say that because the green is like, so it's almost like the burn was there already. And they just decided that this is the best lay to land for it. The elevated green, there's like this protection from this grass right here. It's almost like sort of like a mound or a hill that protects shots from that side. And there was like a little open area and then another mound close to the green. This whole hole was so unique and distinct. But I mean, this place was truly like, it was funny kind of juxtaposing it against Carnoustie, because I was like, if we came back, I'd probably just come out here and play it a couple times. Like it was just delightful. Now the wind was blowing that day, and it really kind of, and I also was not swinging it great that day. But it was, I made the cardinal sin of birding the first hole, and it went downhill.
Yeah, I like the pictures I'm seeing.
Yeah. So Panmure,
cool clubhouse too.
Really cool, and I think that was kind of the joy. It was, when we're talking about structures that are authentic to that time period and space, that one nailed it, where it was like this, it looked like this really modest little sort of quaint building from the outside. And then you go in and it's just like steeped in this rich history with just the rich red carpeting and all the memorabilia cases. It was just like a slice of incredibly cool Scottish history. So this was near the top of my list. It's one of my favorites, and the people there were great as usual. So Panmure, highly recommend Panmure. Where we go to next was, so that closed the day, and we're in the middle of like the wind stretch here. So then the next day was played St. Andrews.
How many do we have left?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 courses left.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Lots of golf left. So this is Jubilee. I'm just going to just play this video for you. You can just get a sense for what the day was, because you can just see the grass ripping over there on the left side. You can see the hood of my
Andrews.
This is St. Andrews Jubilee, and this is my hood ripping behind. I mean, and this
you played Jubilee and the old course. Would those be the two that you played?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, those are the two.
Where is Jubilee on the St. Andrews list of like courses? Is it the fun one? Like, what's the vibe at this one?
This one, it used to be a shorter course that I think I want to
hear what the locals say about Jubilee. Like, where
what some of our caddy Scott at Panmure said this. He was like, and I think he's right. If this course was 50 miles in any other direction, it would be a destination. But kind of like Spyglass Hill in a way, it suffers from being in the shadow of the old course. I think that if you're there, I mean, there's sort of a debate as to whether, like, it's clearly old course, and then, like, there's a debate between Jubilee and new. I thought Jubilee was a lot of fun, but it was also kind of like there were some random features. Like, I'll show you here. Like,
did you play it before? Did you play it before the old course?
I did. Yeah.
So honestly, you'd like to play Jubilee after you played the old course, because you're kind of like looking around, looking for that a little bit of something. You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, is that the hole on the old course? You know what I mean? So you're constantly reminded of, man, I could be playing the old course today. So I think that would be, if anything, I could do anything to improve Jubilee, it's to play it after the old course, especially if you've never played it.
It would be like there's an argument as to whether you want to like warm up for the old course as we did, where we played around in the morning and then played the old course, once you're warm, but you're going to kind of run out of energy. Like, I think the cool part, you can kind of see in this video, this is 17T at Jubilee, and you can see kind of out in the distance the town of St. Andrews. And so there was a lot of that, of like looking over and seeing the place where we were about to play, where you kind of get the excitement up and looking at sort of the sidelines there. So, I mean, I thought that and
it can get overlooked. It can get overlooked.
It can get overlooked.
I think that's where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those ones where here we are talking about home bases. If you're going to make your St. Andrews your home base, definitely play Jubilee. Like that's a good course to kind of play in that area. Like it's worthwhile. If you're going a lot of other places, like it's not like it wasn't on my must list, but I'd say like it was a perfect little day paired with where we went next, which was
Jubilee one of the first courses you eliminate if you had to like if you're running out of.
If you're looking at my list, I mean, I hate to do this to courses that I enjoyed every one of them, but like if you show me the list I have right now and you're like, which course are you removing first? Like it's Jubilee.
Okay. So. Say less. I think we've identified the issues, the strengths, and it's time to move on.
And the place we're moving next is, I'm thrilled to share to you about this place. So this is a place called Crail Golfing Society. Okay. They have 2 courses here. The Balcomie Links we played, which is the much older version of it. This course was built in, or the society began in 1786, Smylie.
What the hell is this?
Balcomie, this is not far from St. Andrews, like probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And then there's a second course called Craighead that was designed by Gil Hance in the mid to late 1990s.
You played both of them?
Only played Balcomie. Craighead apparently is like a really exacting championship test. And
wait, so Crail Golfing Society has 2 courses? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
And you played which one?
Balcomie.
Okay.
And this is
Balcomie?
Balcomie, Balcomie. So I'm going to start you here with shout out to my dad, because he kept doing this weird dad thing where he kept taking these panoramic photos with me in them.
I remember the photo. Yeah.
But isn't there
a video of you on a par 3?
Yes. I'll show
down
that
the
to you
hill.
in a second.
I think that's the hole I'm looking at.
Yes, that is the hole you're looking at. So like, look at the views here. This stunning, just looking out the ocean. It's a weird panoramic where I'm moving around, so I look like an alien. Here's another.
When have you ever taken a panoramic and it actually works? And it actually gets the job done.
But it was just like my dad's go-to thing. He was like, I'm just going to keep busting out panos. But I mean, it's funny. Like with humans removed, like you get a sense for this property and this land. It was so flat, hardly any long grass. So like a fun play. Now, the thing that made it tough this day was it was blowing 30, 40 miles an hour. But it was like just this beautiful vista right next to the ocean. And one of the most fun finishing stretches that I've ever, like definitely the most fun finishing stretch I played on this trip, and maybe the most fun finishing stretch I've ever played. So here's right in that mix. This is the 14th here. And this is that downhill par 3.
Yeah. Okay. That's the picture I'm looking at too.
This should be like a 155-yard shot that with no wind, you can play like 135 since downhill. I'm holding a 5-iron in my hands.
Oh gosh.
And with a left-right wind, I'm just trying to kind of, as best I can trap it low, and it's spinning to the right. Here's how Crail Balcomie finishes, Smylie. It goes, the 13th is a par 3 Craighead. The 14th is a par 3, the Cave. The 15th is a par 4, Mill Dam. The 16th is a par 3, Spawn Cop. 17th is a par 4, Road Hole. And 18th is a par 3, the Quarry.
5 par 3s in the last 6 holes? Did I just hear that?
You got, let's see here.
Or was it 4 par 3s?
4 par 3s, 2 par 4s in the last 6 holes. What? And all the par 3s are delightful and different. Like the one right before this hole, the 13th is an uphill par 3 with the wind ripping off right to left, where you got to carry it uphill a long way. Then you got this downhill par 3. Then you play this par 4 that's out with the ocean on your left-hand side. Yep. Can't hit it too far because it'll run through. Then you have an uphill par 3. And where you got to carry like the sort of rock face. And then you're playing a par 4 downhill. And then you have a downhill par 3 to finish. Like the whole thing was just a golf at its most fun, is what I'd say for Crail.
All right. So my takeaway so far in all of these golf courses you've been walking us through, this to me is the golf course you start on. You start on this course, and the reason why, you find your golf ball, you knock the rust off, and on the first tee, you give it the old stretch and old practice swings. And man, just hadn't played a whole lot, guys. We'll see what I got today. Like all of those words that are the classic things that you say on the first tee when you're playing like crap and you're not going to have it that day. This is the perfect course to start, because you'll work your way through your golf game out there. Yes, you're going to get exposed, but I think it sets you up for, hey, like I didn't have to go to the pro shop to get more golf balls. You know, I still have the one ball I teed off with. This is where you got to start your trip, is from all of the things I've heard.
That is such a good call. Like even spinning that through my head right now, it feels like, yeah, why didn't we start? I mean, we didn't know.
This isn't where you
it.
finish your trip. You don't finish your trip here. Going.
Just delightful fun. Like Scotland, this is going to be a fun thing. Now, let me tell you what else, because you mentioned the first tee. So when you get to the first tee at Crail, this is what they give you right here. I'm going to try to hold this up, show you this. It says,
set a pack of Zins.
Oh, man. You could probably fit a Zin tin inside this if you wanted to. This is not a pack. It's not a tin full of Zins.
It's emergency supplies. Are you sure it's not
2024 emergency supplies? Let me tell you what comes inside.
Some Zin Bambinos in there, baby.
Couple of Scottish lip pillows for the road. This is what comes inside this kit. They have a little like packet of whiskey. Like it's like a little plastic thing of whiskey that they it's like Balcomie whiskey that I guess is distilled near site, like somewhere in the area, local. And they have this thing called tablet. What tablet is like, they're just like sugar cubes effectively. It's like they mix like vanilla extract and like these little, it's almost like, it's like a biscuit, but it's just a sugar biscuit. So I'm out there, I'm making huge numbers early on, and I'm just like, throwing the whiskey back, throwing the tablet back, feeling good about life. Like I'd say that this is when you go to a place where you play as bad as I did, but you still have as much fun as I did, that's when you know it's a keeper. And so I love what you're saying. Like that's a great call. Go stay in St. Andrews, you know, look around the city, get started, but go play Crail first. And then you're just like, I'm ready to go.
I'm a little turned off by the name, but also kind of turned on, if that makes sense, because you show up to a place and I feel like you're on your like tiptoes because you want to be on your best behavior because you're at a golfing society, Crail Golfing Society. I feel like I should be wearing all white. And after we finish our round of golf, we're going to play some badminton and some croquet. That's like what I had pictures when I typed this in. But after getting some whiskey on the first tee and some buttermilk biscuits or whatever you were talking about, that to me kind of is like maybe we're at this kind of frat party that actually it's the name sounds really serious, but we like to have a good time. That to me encompasses what I believe the Crail Golfing Society is.
Well, you know what's so funny about that is I had the same sort of thing. I was like, this place is so unique to all the other courses, and they call themselves a golfing society. What's that all going to be about? What I think it came down to was they seem to have this amazing club ethos. The caddies are members. Like we had two guys who are members who are out there caring for you. So they played the course a million times. They know the course, and it's just part of a thing you do. It's like if you're a member of the course, we have guests that are coming in. We want to take them around the course and help them enjoy this thing and
so
appreciate
cool.
it.
So opposite from the States, right?
Completely, right? Like
that's why golf's so cool over there.
And I think that's a whole other bigger point you can make of just like, you know, we talk about like growing the game ad nauseum and look, the club structures are the way they are in the United States, but really and truly over there, it's a completely different sort of stratosphere, the types of people that play the game and the way they appreciate and love the game. So Crail to me, like bottle that up. Like we need more places like that where the members are so invested, where you're getting whiskey and tablet at the first tee, where you're playing this up and down all around, like, you know, this is sort of wild test next to the ocean, but the grass isn't long, so you find your ball. It just delighted me so much.
It kind of has the feel of Golan to me. I don't think
I didn't play Golan.
I don't think you've played Golan, but it's similar to that in that you can find your golf ball. It's on a pretty cool piece of land. It looks Golan's it's got a little bit more hills to it than it looks like this golf course does. But just being able to go whale at it, go find it, and go hit it again. And just seems up next to the water, great character to it. And I love the fact that your caddy is a member. That's also a bit of a bump in the rankings for me. This, I tell you what, when I typed it in, I kind of had it at the bottom of the list, and I think from a golfing perspective of the course I've looked up because if you're not doing Google Images with all of this, you're doing it wrong, following along. And there's nothing about any pictures that I'm like, it honestly doesn't compare to anything you've done. Like I feel like Jubilee and here don't have the images like some of the other places you've played, but it seems that all of that kind of gets erased with just the overall experience with the membership, how unique it is, and just the playability factor.
100%. And I wish, there are more images I could pull down the road. Maybe you can find some of those on the internet. Maybe some of those you can't, but it is stunning playing along the coastline for the first few holes where it's like, there's this beautiful, but then you turn around, you're more inland. It's almost like you feel like you're in the Midwest. Like they're kind of fields of grain or something next to you.
Dunes-esque, literally on some of these where it's just, all right, go ahead and find it.
I would be delighted to come back and play both courses. Like I would love to see what Gil Hance did with rolling Scottish countryside for one of his first ever courses, like to play Craighead as well. And they say that it's a huge score disparity. Like they have their club championship and they're you'll go out and shoot close to even par, a few under a Balcomie, and then you turn around, you flip around and go try to play Craighead, and it's 4 or 5 over is a good score. So it's really, really interesting.
Okay, so I didn't think we'd get that far into Crail Golfing Society when we started, but that was a bit of a hilarious explanation of that place. Where are we heading next? When I type it
We're heading to Dumbarnie. Dumbarnie also lives in that modern category. I think they finished this course in 2020. So Dumbarnie.
Are we in order in these? Is this the
chronological order? Okay. Chronological order. Breathtaking piece of land, Smylie. Incredible ocean views.
Yep. This is
first tee. They greet you with 2 shots of whiskey. So this is actually hilarious.
This place looks dope.
So dope. My dad, who I don't think has ever had hard alcohol in his entire life, we left this trip he was all about Scotch whiskey, I guess you call it, or whatever the Scottish variety is.
God, this is good.
It was phenomenal. So that's what they greet you with the first tee. This is I'm pretty sure this picture is walking into the first fairway here, where it's early morning. Just this beautiful sort of path, this mix of modern with and you kind of see these rolls along the fairway, just really good use of the natural land there. I should look right here. The guy's
fantastic, dude.
Designed it. Clive Clark.
This is my favorite one I've seen from pictures.
So this was such a funny day, Smylie, because my dad, who I think came into the trip as a 15 handicap, I think he plays closer to a 12. He shot 2 over par at Dumbarnie, just careered it, just lit it up this day, had such a great time. I, on the other hand, listen, if there's anything that we learned on this show the past few weeks is that we don't blame caddies. Okay. It's not the caddy's fault. We're not going to get anywhere near the player hits the shots. Okay. With all that said, if I was power ranking caddies, this one might be near the bottom of the list. I'm going to show you here. This is the 4th hole. Hit it up here in this pot bunker. Really thrilled with this shot. Kind of splashed one out. Had a little, par save coming down the hill. Obviously a left edge putt. Was assured it was a right edge putt. Missed it. And that just kind of set the tone for the rest of the day for me. I was like, okay, I'm reading my own putts now.
One of those days, huh?
It's just one of those days. And
you must have played good the day before, so confidence was a little higher. You show up, you're like, you know what? I know I'm a 5 handicap. I know that's what you read there, Bob. But I actually shot 74 yesterday, so pay a little damn respect to my game and what I'm showing up with today. So if you screw up another read like this, you're out of your guy. Is that kind of am I kind of right there on it or no?
You know what it was really is that I've been playing so bad and the next round was old course. So I was like, Charlie, just find something on the track, find something, just play halfway decent golf so that you can go to the old course and play well. And coming out of this, I'm like, I'm just going to just make a mess of the old course. This is going to be terrible. I will say that notwithstanding, the images you're seeing, This place is unbelievable. And it's fun. It's creative too. Like there are multiple drivable par fours that have little unique parts about them where it's like you can go for it, but the way it's bunkered, like you're dead in a pot bunker in the front. Or if you go long, there's a runoff and you've got a short-sided pitch shot back in where you're not even guaranteed to make a par. I think, again, it's one that probably gets critiqued because it's new in a certain way. But like I take Dundonald, Dumbarnie, and Kingsbarns and I put them in a separate category. Like evaluate them in a whole different way than I evaluate the rest because they're modern Scottish courses. And I thought all of them were beautiful, delightful, well routed, a great fun proposition. So I think that Dumbarnie was I really wish I'd played better at Dumbarnie, but it's a place I'd love to go back to and see again and kind of just mix in on a trip where it's like do some classic old, do some new. So that's my Dumbarnie for you. So next we go to the Old Course.
I don't need to Google. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you need to Google the Old Course. This place was, it's not like I need to go in depth on what this place is. Everyone knows the Old Course is. I will just say, like, is nothing in the world like the first tee jitters at the Old Course. When you got everyone sitting, you got people behind on the street watching, you got people over on the putting green watching. It looks like it should be like one of the widest fairways in the world, especially because you also have the 18th fairway to use as well, but somehow it's still the most nerve-wracking tee shot. Like I kind of like chunk drew a 3-wood out there to find the fairway and just, kept the nerves down, made par on the first hole. But it is, I just think that there, you got to, if you're going, you kind of have to play the Old Course because there's just nothing like walking the same place that people have walked for hundreds and hundreds of years. The feelings on the first tee, the feelings on the tee at the road hole, the feelings on the tee at the home hole, just looking around and being like, golly, I've seen this so many different times and now I'm here playing it. This is unbelievable. Like it's unlike anything else.
Question for you. Do you think the old course is outdated in where technology is now? Do you feel like do you think it's a hard enough golf course for what today's modern technology is and how good these guys are?
I think,
thank you, Paul. Hang up and listen.
Paul, there's a little SEC radio. I'd say, the Old Course in a lot of ways reminds me of like Pebble Beach in that it has a ton of history, but it really doesn't beat you up too much. Like it's pretty much out there in front of you. Like you can definitely hit in some bad places. You can definitely hit in some long grass. You can make a mess of that place. But for the most part, its defense is always going to be the elements, right? The wind, if it's rainy, that's what's going to kind of, keep scores down, right? If you don't have that, of course, pros are going to rip it up. I think that, but I still wouldn't go away from a place like that because I just think there's just nothing like, they're just places that make you feel a certain way. If you love golf, you love the game, you love its history, regardless of like the actual course itself, you're just going to step onto that place. You're just going to be like, there's nothing that can make me feel this way except for the Old Course. And that's kind of where I net out on the Old Course is like, a lot of the holes, kind of run together because they're just using the land that was there, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And so it's not this tricked up, kind of, wild. It's, Prestwick is so different from this. Like this is a very different sort of thing, but it's the Old Course. And I'd say the other thing too is that you're signing up for a long round. It's going to be a 5-hour round because there are a zillion courses out there and it's all packed foursomes. The thing that probably took me, by surprise a little bit was the hang was so good. The caddies were hilarious. Like we had a guy, my caddy was Jake. We had this caddy, Scott, who was on my dad's bag, who carries in the Dunhill. They were doing trivia and jokes the entire time. It was a 5-hour round that did not feel like a 5-hour round. And I think that's like, maybe one of the best compliments I can pay to a place is that the time flew because it was such a good hang and such a good experience.
Yep. I hadn't played it. It's got to be number one on the list for me.
This is, by the way, shout out to Scott for taking the best video I'll maybe ever have of my golf swing in the entire life, where he just ran up he's like, give me your phone. He was like, okay. He just ran up on this hill and just got me absolutely launching a rocket 3-wood. I believe this is on the 6th hole of St. Andrews. And I don't have the volume up now, but you can hear the so it kind of went by his phone. So shout out to you, Scott. You killed it. And I think, too, the other thing, too, is, I hit it in the road hole bunker, which was the only double I made all day. I was 2 over going to the road hole bunker, and I hit it there. And you can kind of zoom in and see how I was feeling about hitting it in the road hole bunker. Dude,
that's what the bunkers look like this week at Turin, man.
They're it's just a tough seam to hit. I almost got it out in the first try, but just didn't quite get up the revetted face. And then honestly too, I just say, you're talking about the feelings of this place. Like, this was, for me, being with my dad on this trip, like this walk up 18, you can't beat it. I mean, just looking around, taking it in, like this is you're finishing out your round at the old course. I think go play this course with someone you love and you care about and you want to make memories with, because you're going to be able to share that for a lifetime. And I think that this, to me, our second to last round of the trip, walking up that fairway, looking at Russicks, looking at just, the old course hotel, everything. It's a top 3 feeling in golf, so. That's
so y'all didn't finish the trip on this course? I feel like that's a mistake.
So I would have agreed with you. However, so we're looking at the forecast the next day. We're going to Kingsbarns next. It's supposed to be a ton of rain. It's supposed to be a miserable day. I'm like, all right, I shot 76 at the old course. I'm thrilled with that.
Is this our last round, or we have one more? This
is the last round. Kingsbarns is it. So I shot, I'm whatever happens at Kingsbarn happens. It's going to be, rainy, messy.
Is it close to St. Andrews?
It's about 20, 25 minutes away.
Okay.
Kingsbarns is like, I've heard it described as, it looks like the Pebble Beach of Scotland, just these beautiful, just kind of carved into this kind of sloping hill on the side with the ocean on your left. You can kind of see, this is a view from the 6th tee right here.
Kind of Monterey Peninsula-esque.
Yes, very much so. I'd say that here's me on the 12th tee. This is apparently Ernie L's favorite par 5 in the world. This reminds me so much of 18 at Pebble Beach, where it's just like the ocean on your left-hand side.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here too.
Slings you around. Yep. Just a really, really cool view. And there's so many views like this on this entire course.
Good balance, dude. That was sweet.
You like that?
God, that was a bad tee pickup too, man.
It landed in the fairway and I made birdie, Smylie. So
I know. I trust me. I see the cheeky grin on your face.
You like that? I liked it. Yeah. Listen, I got a balance thing, but Scottie Scheffler's got a balance thing too. So I'm not equating my game to Scottie Scheffler, but I'm just saying, there's commonalities.
The tee pickup's gross.
I would say, So I mean, the place is beautiful. Here's another kind of like vista, you can kind of see, and it's also like top notch, like modern clubhouse. They have the Dunhill here. I mean, you can just look out and see the ocean there on your left. It was just a thrill of a place. And honestly, I love finishing the trip here because it was just nice to kind of go out again, like the way we kind of came in with, like, sort of got an American vibe to it, got a high end vibe to it. Had a little sausage roll here at the turn with some HP sauce on it. I'm now addicted to HP, the brown sauce. Like, everything was great there. And then Smylie, the biggest reason is because I careered it at Kingsbarns. I shot my career low 2 under par 70 at Kingsbarns. I still cannot believe it happened this way, because I thought I was fully out of energy ending this last day of the trip, and then just showed up, and we found the round was going well. And we found this 20 pence coin on the 9th tee box, and my caddy Struan picked it up, and he said, "This is good luck. Like, you got to pick it up." And I used it as a ball marker for the rest of the round. And we were flirting with, maybe not breaking par towards the end. There was a par 5, the 16th, where I hit it in a pot bunker in the fairway, and then pitched it out, and then hit a gap wedge almost off the back of the green because I was so juiced up. But then I turned around, made a little 50-footer for birdie coming down the hill to keep the run going.
Oh, sure you did.
So it was just, I would just say, like, Kingsbarns was amazing in so many ways, but it was also just like, it was a perfect way to finish the trip. Beautiful, beautiful course, top-notch, perfectly conditioned course, and a course where I think, like, if you get a banner day, like we got an amazing weather day, it's like you can just go low and have a good time and just say farewell to Scotland. And that's exactly what we did.
Over under, I got 2 questions. Over under, how many golf balls do you think you played with the entire time?
It's a good question. I brought way too many. I thought I was going to need way more. I think I brought 24, and I think I probably, if I had to estimate, I think I probably lost.
Wait, you only brought 24?
Yeah.
So 24
like 24 golf balls. Yeah.
You didn't have to get more?
Wait a second. You know what? I might have had like 6 in my bag already. Like 6 in my bag plus 24 in my suitcase.
With all the golf that you played, that kind of surprises me. I thought we were like going to be in the 3 or 4.
Listen, we're confident in our ability to find the golf ball these days. The younger version of me would have needed about 24. I think that's what my dad brought. He was bringing like extra, like he was bringing like dozens to the course so that he could take it to the next golf course. It's like, Dad, I don't think it's going to get that bad. He's like, no. I need to have it in case. I think I probably lost in the neighborhood of like 6 to 8 golf balls the whole trip, which I'm proud of.
Okay.
Fun fact, when my brother went, he played with 1 golf ball the entire week. Still don't know how he did that. Which is, amazing. Not sure how or why he did that, but he was a very good golfer at that age. So.
Middle of the face Hume.
More so than I do. That's for dang sure. So that's a very long and extended Scotland trip review.
If you made it this far, congratulations.
Congrats to you. Thanks for hanging and sticking with us. But I mean, I just say, to wrap the whole thing up, I'd say absolutely it's a bucket list thing. You got to do it. We hit some of the main highlights on our trip. You could definitely kind of go off on a less beaten path and try to find some other stuff to do when you do your trip. But I think, whatever you do, you can't do it the wrong way. It's just go and enjoy it and cram as much golf as you can get in realistically, but don't overdo it to the point where you're like not enjoying it anymore. But if you love golf, it's a must. You got to go play links golf and you got to do it in Scotland.
Hell yeah, brother. Looked like a great trip, especially with Pops, man. Definitely, I have my own rating system of those 10 that you played. I'll keep that to myself, but I think everybody kind of knows where I stand based on the excitement versus the non-excitement of some. So,
yeah, I'm actually curious. Like, what were your top 3?
The one that was the last one, not Kingsbarn, Dumbarnie was up there for sure. Turnberry. That I think those would be my top 2, and then North Berwick and in the old course.
I think you might be
North Berwick and the old course would be top 4, and I don't think I have a 5th. I think those are like a strong top 4 for me, and after that, I think you can kind of mix and match a little bit.
There you go. I love it. You got, and that's the great thing about Scotland too. Everyone can like something a little bit different. So. That's it, Smylie. I think we've spoken enough about Scotland at this point. I don't know that anyone else is watching this. If you are, congrats to you. And this is, I guess, we're heading into the 3M Open. So hopefully by now you've seen our one and done picks, and or we're going to be having an Instagram live with Smylie joining us from Ireland, where he is going on a golf trip that perhaps we'll recap at some point in time soon.
Definitely
look forward to that.
Definitely will.
So enjoy your week. We appreciate you watching and listening, and we'll be back here talking to you again very soon.
I listened to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our lovely fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too, so please keep it up.
For all the good people of YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the